Hello, second grade writers. Today we're going to continue with lesson 6. The vocabulary for this lesson, our first word is stretch, which means to reach or spread out. And then thankful. When you're thankful, that means that you're grateful for something or you're appreciative. Our objectives for today, our convention's objective is I will be able to write simple sentences. And our writing objective is I will be able to write opinion pieces that provide a concluding statement or section. So the concluding statement comes at the end of our writing. So the conventions, simple sentences. A simple sentence contains a subject and a verb and expresses a complete thought. The subject is the person, place, or thing that is doing something. The verb often states action. So John Chapman loved the wilderness. In this sentence, the subject is John Chapman and the verb is loved. Let's look at our second example. He walked for hundreds of miles. In this sentence, the subject is he and the verb is walked. So under the conventions practice in your online writing journal, you're going to be writing some simple sentences. So write simple sentences using the given subjects and the verbs below. So number 1 is girl and played. This is your subject, this is the verb. Number 2, they walked. This is your subject, they, and this is your verb, walked. So for example, I might say, make this a little bit bigger. The girl played outside until it was time for dinner. Okay? That would be a simple sentence. We have our subject and verb. Okay, so you're going to type a simple sentence for number 1 and number 2 in your online journal. Okay, so continuing with opinion writing. Write conclusions to an opinion. Every piece of writing has a conclusion. The conclusion is how the writing ends. A good conclusion ties up loose ends and brings closure to the writing. The writer's conclusion gives readers a sense of finality. A strong conclusion uses the same tone or feeling as the rest of the text and tells the text's main point in a different way. So today we're going to practice writing an ending for an opinion. It is important for a writer to provide a powerful ending because it makes a final impression on readers. Here are some questions to keep in mind as you write a conclusion. Is the conclusion a logical way to end the sentence? Does the conclusion summarize the main points of the text? Does the conclusion have the same tone as the rest of the text? Does the conclusion give the writing a sense of closure? And how does the conclusion make the reader feel? What impression does it leave? So the writer of John Chapman, Planter and Pioneer, begins the book in 1776 when John Chapman was just a little boy and ends with his death. So the real Johnny Appleseed died in March of 1845 at the age of 71. The writer concludes with Johnny's death, which is a logical ending for a biography. But Johnny Appleseed's legend lives on. So the last words of the text set a certain tone. Rather than just saying that Johnny will not be forgotten, the writer writes that his legend lives on. This leaves the reader thinking about the impact that Johnny had on the world. So to write a well-developed concluding statement, you will be writing an opinion as to whether or not you believe Johnny Appleseed's work made our world a better place. Remember that writers use reasons to support their opinions. So first, determine your opinion. Although the conclusion has a gentle tone, I found it powerful because it reminded me of how much Johnny Appleseed changed the world and what a good person he was. Then we identify reasons. I especially like the details on page 22, which tell how Johnny always slept outside under the moon and stars. He never complained and he believed you should be thankful for whatever you had. Then we're going to consider a conclusion. I want to be careful that the conclusion does not introduce new details, but instead wraps up my opinion with existing ideas. So let's look at this example. John Chapman, Planter and Pioneer, is a biography of Johnny Appleseed. Throughout the text, the writer portrays Johnny Appleseed as a kind person who loved the outdoors and who was gentle with animals and people. He even gave away his clothes to those in need. He spent his life sowing apple seeds and changed the landscape of our country. The text ending is especially powerful. It left me with a peaceful feeling. Since Johnny Appleseed was a kind man, that seems like a fitting way to end his life story. I feel this text provides readers with important information about John Chapman. So, in your online writing journal, under your independent practice, you're going to be writing an opinion about whether or not you think Johnny Appleseed's work made our world a better place. Remember to clearly state an opinion and support it with reasons. You should also provide a well-developed conclusion. Okay, so I will give you some sentence starters to help you. So remember, your first step is to decide, right? Determine an opinion. Do you think he made the world a better place or not? So if you do think so, you might start your writing by saying, I think Johnny Appleseed's work made our world a better place because, remember those linking words to help us explain the reason, okay? And then you would fill in your answer. Now, if you disagree, and that's also okay, this is your opinion, as long as you give reasons, your sentence starter would say, I do not think Johnny Appleseed's work made our world a better place because. Okay? So you'll use this sentence starter if you agree, if you think that his work made our world a better place, and then explain why. Don't forget a conclusion. And then this is a sentence starter if you disagree, if you think that maybe his work did not make our world a better place. So remember, today you can do the conventions, tomorrow the writing, and I'm here if you have questions. Thank you.